As many of you know, I recently shared my game where I beat Stockfish 18 on April 25th, 2026 this year. The Stockfish that was released in January. So I played it at its highest ELO, 3,500. I set the depth of thinking to 20 seconds and the thread level to 6. Following up on the game, I shared, I want to go deeper into the analysis and address the data directly from the official game report before I go into the game. First, to be clear, I am not a titled expert and I've never had a coach. I've been playing for over 20 years, entirely self taught. I played to prove that the human spirit, through pure determination, can still challenge the machine. I want to walk you through the side by side comparison of my moves versus Stockfish in this 10-minute rapid game that we had. Here is exactly how we matched up. So I'll show you, you can see right here the game report sheet. This is when we finished, and you can see the accuracy. Stockfish was at 99.3%. I was at 96.5. Book moves, we both had 3. Genius moves, we both had 0. Sharp moves, we both had 0. Best moves, Stockfish found 14, I found 9. Outstanding moves, I actually outperformed the engine here, finding 8 outstanding moves to its 6. Good moves, I had 4. Stockfish had 1. Inaccuracies, I had 4. Stockfish had 1. Sorry, good moves, I had 4. Stockfish had 1. Inaccuracies, I had 1. Stockfish had 0. You'd expect that. It's playing, 99.3%, obviously very high. Mistakes, we both had 0. Blunders, we both had 0. Miss wins, we both had 0. I just like to say, I want to highlight that one inaccuracy on my side, while the engine stayed at 0. I had one. I wasn't playing with a program. I was playing purely on instincts, to be honest with you, and relying on my 24 years of self-taught experience to hold my ground against machine playing near perfection. So I want to also say that because these numbers are so high, I reached out to an expert in the field of chess data analysis to review the match. The suggestion was raised that it might have been a technical glitch or a bug. However, logic tells us that a computer doesn't fix itself instantly to play a perfect game. Right after a glitch, immediately after this win, I played further games against this same engine, Stockfish 18, and I lost. My losses proved the engine was functioning at full power. I simply found the winning line in this specific match. So now let's go to the board. Okay, let's go to the board. Um, we'll see. So you can see exactly how my 96.5% accuracy held its ground against a 99.3 machine. So I open with the king's pawn. Stockfish mirrors me. I develop the knight and attack e5. nc6, it develops and defends its e-pawn. I believe this is a bishop b5, the Roy Lopez. The Berlin defense, knight to f6. That's how Stockfish replies to knight to f6. Immediately, I took the knight off at c6. I removed the defender immediately. To be honest with you, I realized that just by calculating, I could never ever match Stockfish 18. So I realized that trading was my best bet to really stay into this game. The Royal Lopez, immediately I took the knight off at c6. D times c6, it captures back, opening its lines. And then next I take the central pawn. and the queen Stockfish attacks my knight and the e-pawn. So I retreat knight to f3. Obviously it's safe there, and I know that the queen is definitely going to take the pawn. So Stockfish takes queen times e4. It takes a central pawn with check, and I offer the queen trade to neutralize its power. Then it accepts the trade, and I recapture the queen. I recapture the queen. I recapture. Sorry, the queens are off the board, and then Stockfish plays knight to d5. It centralizes its knight. I don't really want to open any pieces at the moment. I think the best thing to do is trade. So I bring my knight to c3. I develop my knight to c3 to challenge the center. But really, truly, it's, I just want that knight off because I know he's aiming for the c2 pawn. Bishop to g4. It pins my knight. Knight times d4. Knight times d5. I trade off its active knight, and it recaptures, keeping a solid center. h3. I immediately challenge its bishop, and the bishop retreats. I take the open e-file. Stockfish tries to solidify its structure with f6, and I deliver a discover check, king to f1. Stockfish goes king f7, moves his king to safety, and I open lines for my bishop on d3. So I push d3. Stockfish expands on the queen side, and then I develop my bishop to d2. Stockfish pushes a5 for more space. I can see he's looking to exploit the queen side. And let me tell you this: I'm not playing. I'm just playing purely on instincts to survive in this game. Really, I'm not really playing any opening lines or, what they call positional chess, or he goes in, I'm supposed to go there, and I'm calculating 10 moves deep. I'm just playing chess the way I learnt it. So he pushes for more space on a5. I push a3 to try and stop that advance. Stockfish it attacks the center with c5, and d4. I strike back in the center. Stockfish tries to close the center. It's not willing to trade the pawn on d5, and I definitely don't want it to go any further than that. And so I push b3. I challenge its pawn chain. I want that pawn off, really, because there's a pawn storm coming down on the queen side, and I'm like, I'm in a bit of trouble here. And so we have it develops its bishop to f5. And then I take the c4 pawn, and it recaptures d times c4, takes it back with the d pawn. I push c3 to solidify my structure, and it pushes on the king side with g5. I now try to move my bishop to reposition my bishop, but really I want the rooks together. So I want to. The best move that I thought at the time was push it to c1, just trying to reposition my bishop and bring the rooks into play. I've already got a rook on the e-file, so I know if there's any trading, it's probably going to happen there. So Stockfish goes bishop d6. It develops its bishop, and I reply with I take the long diagonal on bishop b2, and then Stockfish pushes h5 to it gains space, and tried to reroute my knight because my knight is no good there with all those pawns coming down on the king side. You've got them coming down on the queen side, on the king side, and I'm just basically trying to survive as long as possible, to be honest. A check comes at bishop d3. It checks my king, and I move my king to g1. Yeah, I move my king to safety to g1, and then Stockfish brings his rook from h8 to e8. It takes a file on e8, and then knight to f1. My final position. I'm trying to reinforce the position. My final position, and this is where this is the move that broke the machine. This knight f1. For the life of me, I couldn't really understand what happened here because I was hoping to trade really, and at move 25, where I played knight to f1, and the unthinkable happened. Stockfish 18, the most powerful calculation engine ever built, simply froze. I mean, faced with a position it couldn't solve, the engine fell victim to I think what they call the horizon effect, spiraling into a sort of infinite loop of trillions of calculations while the clock ticked away. It had 8 minutes left. I had 6 minutes and 12 seconds, and the machine couldn't find a path forward and was like forced to concede. I mean, I literally watched the clock count down. They call it a glitch. The experts will call it a glitch or a bug because they can't bridge the gap between silicon logic and human intuition. But the result is undeniable. I didn't just play the board. I paralyzed the engine, and I walked away with a legitimate victory against the impossible, really. If you appreciate the transparency and the data I've shared, give the video a thumbs up so more people can see that the human spirit can still challenge the machine. Thank you very much.